Hello Libras, fellow air signs. Welcome to your September 2017 reading. And happy early birthday. As the month ends in September, we're going to be rounding out into Libra season. Right now we're in Virgo season. And sorry, I had to readjust that for a second. So let's see what's going on. What's going on with Libra? So I just want to get right into the reading. What messages do we have for Libra for September 2017? I feel like my head is probably going to get this kind of cut off. Okay, that's better. Libra, September 2017. Okay, Ace of Swords. That's good. This air energy that's, very familiar, right? Very familiar energy, comfortable energy. Ace of Swords, new beginnings. I see this as a realization surrounding something. And it's not necessarily, and the Ace of Swords is not a good or a bad card. It depends on the context, right? Because we have these two victory wreaths here, and one is shriveled up and the other one is thriving and is very healthy. So, and it's interesting that I just said that the word health, right? And health keeps popping up. There's going to be a full moon in Pisces on September 5th, which is going to be occurring, I believe, in your 6th house. Let me double check that. Yeah, so Virgo's in your 12th, then yeah, Pisces would be in your 6th. So you're gonna have that full moon occurring in your 6th house, and full moons being endings, culminations, things coming to a close, things coming to a climax. So, and the 6th house being that space in our chart that represents health. It's the house, it's ruled by Virgo, Mercury, and it's about health. It's about not good or bad health, but just how our relationship to our health and how we take care of our health, the habits that we have regarding our health and our daily routine, our daily life. The sacrifice that we make for ourselves and others in order to fulfill responsibilities, right? It's very much about the mundane sort of responsibilities that we have to fulfill because living in this world, right? We have responsibilities to fulfill, right? So going to work, paying your bills, not really because you enjoy it, but because what needs to get done for to sacrifice. And Libra, you all, and me being an Aquarius, definitely vibe with Libra energy. Libra is all about being ruled by Venus, is all about the beauty of things and the harmonizing of things and the coming together of things, and do things work well together? And is this thing that I have, is it pretty? Does it make me feel beautiful? Does it reflect my self-worth and my value? And sometimes, that 6th house energy of responsibilities that we have to handle on a day-to-day basis is not like a very, it's not a very charming or luxurious or, space to be in as a Libra. So let's see what else is coming up. But first card out, Ace of Swords. So I definitely see realizations. And it could possibly be the realization of whether something is good for you or not. The realization of whether, what you're doing in your day-to-day. But let's see what else is coming up for Libras for September 2017. Yeah. The ending of something that's been draining you. There is either a thought process or a way of thinking about things. And to me, the 10 of Swords represents a pattern, represents a cycle that needs to kind of come to a close. Lots of Swords. Okay, now we have 10 of Cups. And 10 of Cups to me represents, what we believe to be our ideal. The Star and the Knight of Wands. Virgo's also got the Star and the Ten of Cups for their reading. So I don't know if there's a relationship that you're in with a Virgo that y'all are both trying to work out some kinks, quite possibly. Because I also know that Virgo, their full moon is happening in their 7th house. So what else is coming up? 7 of Cups. So I started the video, I started one video for you all, and then it just ended up, something happened with the computer, but the 7 of Cups came out. So anything else for Libra? Yeah. Okay. Libra, September 2017. Libra. Okay. So this has been happening a lot lately. So we have the World here. The World, the bottom of the deck. To me, the World is a very Saturn. This is what happens when we actually listen to or learn the lessons that Saturn has to give us, is that we actually end up in this place of fulfillment, in this place of completion, in this place of freedom from whatever it is, whatever the cycle is that we, are engaging in. So I definitely see that there's a realization for a need for a change, and that there's a realization, I think y'all have had Jupiter in your sign for a while, for a year now, and, with Jupiter being in your sign, it sort of eases the process and eases the ability to sort of take on that expansion process, right? Like Jupiter, yes, is about having, it's about fun and good luck and benefactors and receiving things from others, but it's also about, well, this is also how I'm choosing to grow and expand, right? So with, Jupiter having been in your sign for a year now, how have you used that to your advantage, right? How have you used that, Saturn, I feel, is definitely looking at a lot of Libras and is like, well, okay, how have you used and taken, how have you used that to, how have you used having Jupiter in your sign to your advantage to push through the lessons that I'm also trying to sort of offer you at the same time, right? So that's what I'm picking up with the World at the bottom of the deck. But let's get into the reading. So let me show you these cards that we have here. So we have Ace of Swords, Ten of Cups, the Star, Knight of Wands, 7 of Cups, and the Hanged Man. So Ace of Swords, like I said before, a new realization regarding the state of something in your life. And whether that something is good or bad is kind of up to you, right? Whether that thing is, makes your life unmanageable or brings manageability and harmony to your life is up to you. Only you can answer that, right? But there is some kind of truth that needs to be realized about the way in which you're doing something and whether or not it is helpful or not helpful, right? And just from what I'm reading with this Ten of Swords is that, some of you are dealing with a situation or dealing with a behavior pattern or dealing with a thought process, a way of thinking about something that has been draining you. It's been draining you, and it's time for that process. It's time for that cycle to end. Definitely feeling like something is come to a close, or like, I can't, sorry, my phone is ringing. The cycle needs to end, right? There's a realization regarding a situation in your life that is draining you, that is leaving you with very little energy left, and that you also feel kind of stabbed in the back about, that you feel as though you've had these different multiple, it's like when someone is constantly lying to you and is feeding you these different stories, the culmination of all these lies eventually leaves you feeling exhausted, right? And even when you are the person that is constantly lying, right? Like, again, right? Like, you can either be the liar, like the liar, or the person who's being lied to. Like, who knows, right? Like, who knows what this realization is about, right? It's up to you to decide and to figure out within your own situation where you fall, right? Are you kind of fucking things up, or are you, I hate to use, are you the victim versus, but are you causing things, or are things kind of happening to you right now, right? And even when you are the person that is telling lies, right, these lies eventually end up weighing you down as well, because then you have all of these different truths that you have to abide by and listen to, and act out and play by, right? Like, I don't know, one of my favorite movies is Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks, and it's just like lie after lie after lie, and there's this constant, Frank Abagnale, he's constantly having to cover up one disguise after another. He's constantly having to cover up one situation after another because he's a professional liar, right? He's a con artist. That's what he does. And eventually things become so heavy and things become so, he drowns himself, right? In his own deceitfulness, right? In his own lies. So I know that was a good example. I really like that movie. And it's just, to me, is an example of like, now you have to like pretend to be something else, to pretend to be something else, pretend to be something else, because you were pretending to be something else, like, a year ago. So you have to continuously like, when you lie once, you have to continue that lie. You have to carry that lie out. You know what I mean? You can't just walk away from it. And the more deceitful you are, the heavier it can become, because then you are juggling all of these different identities and all of these different modes of being that really aren't authentically you. And I believe that, the situation definitely does involve a relationship. It does involve, and even if it's not an actual relationship, it's your ideal relationship, right? Like, there's possibly a situation that's happening where you feel that in order to maintain this, right, in order to maintain this sort of facade, I'm really reading this as kind of a facade, right, that you then have to sort of maintain all these different various sort of lies, or you're in a situation with somebody who you feel, right, who you're coming to realize is not being very honest about who they truly are, and that in them pretending to be all these different things, or in hiding behind all these different disguises and lies about who they really are, it's to really save face, not to save ass, right? Like, and let me get clarification on that, because next to it we have the Star, which I do feel that whether it's you or the other person who is, who is hiding behind these lies, or who is, being deceitful, whether it's you or the other person, I definitely feel that there is, you're doing it, one, because yes, we want to maintain this ideal of happiness, and this ideal of like what it is that I finally have found with this person, and that you're doing it because, there's this hope or this sense of wishing that, it's I don't want to give excuses, right? But it's not like it was done to be hurtful. It was done in hopes of trying to maintain and not wanting to look at, right? Like not wanting to see what was really going on, right? And sometimes when we're lying to ourselves or when we're lying to other people, we're doing it because we're not actually trying to really deceive or hurt, intentionally, brutally hurt another person. There is a sense of not wanting to face what is really going on. But I do want to get clarity around that. So can I get clarity for the Ten of Cups, please? Why is the Ten of Cups here? Because the Star is about hoping for a better future. The Star is about hoping that things can get better, that things can transcend whatever difficulties, right, there are in front of us right now. That if we have hope and faith that things can become this Ten of Cups, we can have this Ten of Cups. But lying, right, or being deceitful to get there or to do so is not... It's not the most effective way. It's not the truthful way, and I think there's a realization around that's happening, right? Can I still get clarification for the Ten of Cups? Okay, can I get clarification for the Star? Okay, so we got three cards, all just popped out. So yes, with this Ten of Cups being, with this Wheel of Fortune, wanting to turn around your luck, wanting to see a change or to see a difference in the way the wheel is spinning for you, right? That sometimes we get so frustrated with how things are going for us. Sometimes we get so fucking tired of the same cycle. We get so tired of being pinned down and feeling like, damn it, I keep trying. I keep attempting to date these people, or I keep attempting to make this relationship work, or I keep attempting to really, and Libras, being the lovers, being ruled by Venus, being that 7th house sign, there is this preoccupation or inclination towards, I want to harmonize with other people. I want to get along with other people. I want to have this ideal relationship. I want things to work out beautifully between me and the person that I'm in love with. And sometimes that's just not how things work out. And again, going back to that Pisces full moon occurring in your 6th house, right? Pisces being about how we idealize things, Libra and Pisces having a lot in common in a lot of ways, and also having a lot of differences, right? But having that, idealistic way of viewing things, right? Very much in common. And with that full moon being in Pisces, there needs to come an end. There needs to be a closure to a way in which you do things, the habits that you engage in, how you navigate your day-to-day life. And even though the 6th house isn't a house that really talks about romance, I definitely feel that there are some behavioral patterns, there are some things that you're engaging in your day-to-day life that are affecting how you navigate, right? Everything affects one another. Every house builds upon the other house, right? So there are things that are happening in your 6th house that are seeping into your 7th house, and your 7th house relationships. So, there needs to be some closure with those behavioral patterns. There is this awareness that something is not working, and that you definitely desire a change. You definitely desire, a change in your luck regarding this right here, regarding emotional fulfillment, regarding your idea of emotional fulfillment, regarding your idea of romantic relationship fulfillment, right? That there is this desire for things to change and to transform, that there is this, when will my luck kind of change, right? I see this more so as of something that's desired. And, with the star card, there's a hope, there's this hope and this dream, right? For whatever situation, that relationship to fix itself, for that person to notice you, for the right person to walk in, for, just to feel valued and treasured in your relationships, right? Like this desire, right? And I see you all definitely trying to look forward, but, we have this 5 of Cups right next to it. So I definitely see you all in this kind of dichotomy, right? This paradigm of trying to look forward, right? With the world in the palm of your hands, trying to, taking this new realization in the palm of your hands, taking, this still alive sense of this very much alive and like this sense of, you still want this and it's still real for you, right? And you still believe in it, right? And taking your own kind of destiny in your hands, right? And willing to move forward. There's still a wand back here, right? Like there still is a wand back here. And it's still flourishing, right? It may still seem attractive, but you're looking forward, right? And you have opportunities around you, but you're still looking forward. And we also have this 5 of Cups energy. So while you're looking forward, there is also this, sort of looking back at what didn't work out. But there are 2 cups here. There are 2 cups waiting for you here, right? And so again, it's a change in perspective. It's a shift in your perspective. It's a shift in how you view the situation. So you can continue to see the situation as 3 cups spilled, right? Or you can turn around and actually recognize that, it's not ideal, right? The situation is not the ideal that I've walked into or that I want, but it's still beautiful nonetheless, right? And that, I have to recognize, right, that I have to get more in touch with the real, right? The ideal is nice and it's great to fantasize about, and it can be fun to get lost, right? When we're here, it can be fun to daydream and to think about all the beautiful things that we want and that we want to have, and the partners that we want to have, and but it's also important for us to turn around and recognize what we do have. What is it that we actually do have? What can I do with today, right? Like, what can I actually do with this moment right now with the things that I have? And I see, the cards were laid out, they were laid out like this, right? So, I see you trying to look ahead, right? Still knowing, still feeling, right? Like this wand behind you. And every now and then you turn around and look around and are like, oh yeah, this didn't work out, right? But there is this Page of Cups. This is a nudge from the universe that, like, there is that. This thing can exist. This offer, this refreshing energy coming into your relationships can exist. But you have to turn around and see these 2 cups sitting here, right? I see this possibly even as a new love offer coming in from a water sign, a Pisces, Cancer, or a Scorpio. And I definitely see, whatever the wish is, right? that the star, the hope for the better future is definitely there. It's just a matter of going through the motions, of going through the process, right? And really being mindful of when you're in this energy that, yes, sometimes we have to mourn. We have to turn around and look at those 3 cups that spilled in order to get a better sense of, well, what happened? What happened there? What happened there that created that, right? But instead of looking at it as, well, what happened to me here that now has me so broken, it's a matter of like, well, what happened here that I could change? What happened here that I can actually control, right? Because there are things that we can control and there are things that we can't control. And in every relationship, in every situation, I have a part, right? I have a part in my relationships, right? Now, when I'm talking about really incredibly abusive situations, situations where consent is not being respected, that's a different situation. But if you're in a relatively healthy relationship that, for whatever reason is now breaking up, what was your part in that? What was your part in that relationship, right? Like, what was your part in the creation and the tipping of these cups, right? And so instead of looking at this card as a card of like sorrow and grief, looking at it as a way to actually use this information, right? Gather that information so that maybe you can stop this cycle, right? Because maybe there's something you're doing that helped to create this. There's something that you are doing that is helping to create this situation here. And until you can turn around and take responsibility for what's still standing and for what you may have brought into the situation, you're not going to be able to see these 2 cups. And this is going to forever remain, an ideal that can never be reached. Because it's funny, because when we have these high ideals, what we usually end up doing is we end up placing the responsibility to fulfill them on others. What we end up doing is and I definitely see a relationship here with this Knight of Wands, right? And this 7 of Cups, right? This Knight of Wands really wants nothing to do with the 7 of Cups, right? And it's like when we start to push our perception of what should be, right? Because the 7 of Cups is delusion, illusion, idealism, escapism, high expectations, incredibly high standards. When we try to push that onto other people, and I'm speaking as somebody who's done that in the past, who has put expectations onto other people, and then I'm standing around and I'm surprised when the object of my affection runs in the opposite direction. Not because they don't like me or care about me, but because it's like, who wants to be responsible for fulfilling all of this? Nobody wants to be responsible nobody wants that, right? So, you have this Knight of Wands here, a fire sign, a Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries, and that kind of energy, is the last, energy that you really want to put high expectations on. Maybe Leo, because Leo and Aries might love just, fulfilling the challenge, right? But a Sagittarius is not going to go for it. And being a Sag rising, I can tell you right now, we're not going to go for it. Being put under these immense pressures, right? And then also being held responsible for all of someone's grief, right? It's like, I remember, a while back, I was, in the midst of kind of breaking things off with a person. And there was a lot of me telling them how they hurt me. And even though in a lot of ways I was right, still the other person, told me, take responsibility for your feelings. You are responsible for how you feel. And I was like, you know what? He's absolutely right. Like, I am responsible for how I feel, right? Like, I am responsible when I decide to latch onto these 3 cups, regardless of the fact that I have 2 standing up behind me. And again, I'm not speaking of situations where there's, abuse going on. I'm not speaking of situations where consent is not being respected. I'm not talking about situations where, there were a lot of things that were really not in your control, right? I'm talking about relationships where there was, it was balanced. Power was balanced. It was not abusive, right? Like, it was a fairly healthy relationship, and we still have to take responsibility for how we create these three. How do we spill our own cups? How are you spilling your own cups, right? Are you spilling your own cups and then expecting other people to come through and fix it all? And then you're surprised when this Knight of Wands energy, which doesn't want to be tied down from the beginning, right? Might be open to it, right? Loves their freedom, loves you, loves adventure, loves you, loves to be free, loves you, but nonetheless does not want to be held responsible for sort of fulfilling all of this, right? And that it's your responsibility, right? And I do see with this Two of Wands, there is this realization that, well, it's my responsibility. That if I want to be happy, if I want to have the kind of relationship that I want, if I want things to work out the way that I want them to work out, that yes, there are some things I'm going to have to do. There are some things that I'm going to have to change about my ideals, right? And again, I read cards up and down as well as from left to right. And this 10 of Cups above the 7 of Cups tells me that there's a little bit of a disconnect, right? Of what can actually be attained and what is actually reasonable when it comes to your idea of relationships and when it comes to your idea of harmonizing with another person. And that, we live in a world where we have different personalities, right? There's, I see different characters here, different archetypes here, and they're all very different personalities. They're not all gonna get along with you. Sorry. They're not all gonna like you. As charming as you are, Libra, not everybody is going to like you. People are gonna have other agendas. And they're gonna be trying to move in opposite directions of you. But, I definitely see this is a fire sign, an Aries, Leo or Sagittarius who, are a very fiery person who is not appreciating having expectations that are really difficult to meet being thrown onto them. This is difficult to fulfill. This is really hard. And what happens when you stay latched to this, right? Well, for one thing, nothing happens, nothing moves forward, right? And, our desires are never fulfilled, right? Like, our desires don't get fulfilled when our desires are unattainable. So then we are constantly walking around with this feeling of lack, right? And this feeling of suspension, of I can't move, I can't get what I want. Well, are you actually asking for reasonable things? Maybe, maybe not. Let's clarify this Hanged Man. Can I get a clarification on this Hanged Man, please? Why is the Hanged Man here? Why is the Hanged Man here? Again, and we have Mercury going in retrograde. Mercury's in retrograde in Virgo, which I believe is happening in your 12th house. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comment box. I'm sorry, but I definitely feel that Virgo is going retrograde in your 12th house. Your subconscious. The Pisces house, right? We had the 6th, 12th house kind of relationship happening between Moon and Mercury. And the Moon illuminating the ways in which we kind of go about doing things and communicating. So again, Hanged Man and the Four of Swords, I'm definitely feeling a period of utilizing this, you know what, I'm just going to not do anything and I'm going to sort of suspend myself, right? I'm suspending myself from dating, from romantic activity. I'm just going to be to myself for a little bit. And in doing so, right, being able to have a different perspective on things, gaining some focus, gaining some rest, gaining some meditation around some things. Can I get one more card for clarification for the Hanged Man? One more clarification. Or whatever you need to clarify. Well, it's a lot. But yeah, 9 of Pentacles, 4 of Wands, Ace of Wands. You know, how can you fulfill your own desires? How can you reach your own fulfillment of whatever it is that you're wanting, right? But how can you do so in a practical way that's realistic, right? We're in Virgo season, right? So everything is about practicality. Everything is about how can I utilize this in the most practical way? Does this serve me? Does this not serve me? If this does not serve me, cut it out. If it, right? Like being very clear and concise on what does and does not work for us anymore. And that doesn't just, you know, limit us to the practical physical world, but also the mental sphere, the emotional sphere, right? Our certain emotions, our certain behaviors, our certain mental, you know, our certain mental processes, you know, are they working for me? Are they practical? No, get rid of them. They're not working for me right now. They may be pretty. It may be pretty to daydream. It may be pretty to have all these, you know, illusions and delusions about relationships and love, but it's not practical at the moment for you right now. It's not the right season. It's not the season for that, right? It's the season for really setting your own foundation, right? Setting your own foundation. Setting your own, you know, starting your own passions, right? Like finding your own opportunities, right? Being the creator of your own opportunities. But doing so in a way that is practical and realistic still, right? Because to me, the suit of wands also speaks to, right, action oriented, you know, creation oriented. So let me get an outcome card for you. Can I get an outcome card for Libra, September 2017? Outcome for Libra. Happy early birthday, if I didn't already tell you all that. Outcome for Libra, September 2017. I can almost feel like some of y'all are embarrassed at the moment. Like, oh God. But the truth, right? This was the general energy, was truth. Outcome for Libra. That one kind of popped out. Outcome for Libra 2017. Maybe the outcome is up to you. Outcome for Libra 2017. I feel like the outcome is for you, but we're going to pick a card if something doesn't pop up. Outcome for Libra 2017. Alright. Okay. Right as I was like, I'm just going to pick a card. King of Pentacles, the Empress. Yep. So this could definitely be an earth sign coming in, a Taurus, a Virgo, or a Capricorn. A very sturdy, a person that you're not generally used to, right? May not be the most handsome person, may not be the most best looking, but definitely is stable, definitely is financially independent, is reliable, is dependable, a bit stubborn, But with this King of Pentacles comes great beauty. And I'm really feeling Taurus, because this card for me is a Taurus card. So, if y'all are involved with a Taurus or getting to know a Taurus, there's some really beautiful things that, it's an energy that you're not used to, but it's an energy of abundance, and it's the Empress to me is, absolute beauty, fertility, creation. It's an awesome card, right? And it's going to look a little bit different than your ideal, but it's going to hit. It's going to hit a lot of notches. It's going to hit a lot of check marks and boxes. So I definitely see that coming through. An earth sign or a very earthy person who has a lot to offer and maybe a bit different than what you're used to, but they're a king, They're a mastery. They've mastered something. So, and this can also represent you finding stability and sturdiness in your relationship to the practical and in your relationship to realistic views and ideas of relationships, right? So this could be you getting more in touch with a realistic view of what abundance and relationships and beauty and love and harmony needs to look like. Having a more grounded approach to it. Yeah. So there you go, Libras. That's your reading for September. Happy early birthday. Sorry. And if you'd like a reading, you can email me at tattoosandtarot@gmail.com, or you can go to my website, which is tattoosandtarot.com, and I'm getting my website redone at the moment, so that website probably won't work mid-month. I'm going to have it transitioned over to a new domain and everything. So I would definitely just contact me via email if you want purchase a reading. We can work out time and schedule. And if you've already purchased a reading with me, but you have not emailed me, if you purchased it via my website, I need you to send me an email so that I can then communicate with you, because the way that PayPal works is that it won't let me contact buyers via email or through any mode of communication. So I actually need you, after purchasing a reading on my website, to then email me, which is why I'm having the whole thing redone. But yeah, so send me an email if you've purchased a reading lately and haven't heard back from me. It's because I can't get in touch with you. And I hope this reading spoke to some of you all. It's a general reading, so it may not speak to everybody, but I will see you all in October for your birthday. All right, bye.